Okay, we have a number of individuals coming in, so we're just going to give you 2 minutes to settle down, find some seats, so that we can begin. Gentlemen, let me first of all begin by recognizing the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. We also have at the head table Honorable Cozier Frederick, Minister for Environment and Kalinago Affairs, Honorable Fidel Grant, Minister for Public Works and the Digital Economy, other honorable members of Cabinet and Parliament, residents of the Kalinago territory and surrounding communities, senior government officials who are here with us tonight, the media, those of you who are here in person, but I also want to recognize all of those who are listening and viewing live as these proceedings, town hall proceedings, are being carried live. This evening, the government of Dominica embarks on the second in a new series of town hall meetings to be held across Dominica with the objective of sharing updates on ongoing development across the country and in the various communities. Also listening to your feedback on various issues of community and national concern and collaborating with you on shaping our future. This evening we will hear from the Honorable Fidel Grant, who is the Minister for Public Works. We will also hear, of course, from Honorable Cozier Frederick, who is the Minister for Kalinago Affairs and your parliamentary representative. And of course, we will be addressed by the Honorable Prime Minister as well this evening. We will also allow time for an open forum where we hope to hear from you, as I said, on various matters of community and national interest. This evening's program is scheduled to run from 6 to 8 p.m., and we are really looking forward to the engagement with you. At this time, to begin these proceedings, I would like to welcome Mr. Elvis Francis as we stand for prayer. Mr. Francis.
Brothers and sisters, let us place ourselves before the Lord. Almighty and ever-living God, we give you thanks and praise for yet another day. We give you thanks and praise, Lord, that you could have brought us here together as a family with plans to develop our country, our community, the Kalinago territory. Father, we give you thanks for this government, a government that is working. And Lord, into your hands we place this government. And we ask you, Lord, to give them the directive, give them the foresight, give them, Lord, the knowledge and understanding, love and compassion, that they will be able to share with the people that they lead, and will lead the people with honesty and righteousness. Lord God, may your blessings be upon our leader, the political leader of this government, the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. Lord, and all the other ministers of government who are working together with him, Lord, may you bind them together, Jesus, that they will continue to work for the betterment of this country, and that our country will move from where it is. Lord, into your hands we commend, Lord Jesus, this gathering, and we ask for your blessings upon each and every one of us as we discuss matters for the development of our country. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen, and thank you very much, Mr. Francis, for this prayer which has set the tone for our meeting this evening. At this time, to officially welcome you to the Kalinago territory and to this town hall meeting this evening, I would like to invite Honorable Cozier Frederick, Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization, Kalinago Upliftment, and Constituency Empowerment, and the Parliamentary Representative for the Kalinago territory. Honorable Frederick, please welcome.
Thank you very much, Kapsek. Pleasant evening to everyone here tonight. We hope that we'll have a wonderful conversation. I really want to welcome you into this wonderful space and to thank you for attending. I see folks all the way from Wakama to Pegua, and I see people from Marigot all the way to St. Joseph. So that's exciting. As introduced, I'm the Minister for the Environment and Kalinago Upliftment, but also the PAL rep of the Salybia Constituency, which which includes the Salybia Constituency includes the Kalinago territory and Atkinson. And sometimes we refer to it as Kalinago Constituency, but it's actually the Salybia Constituency. I want to make this clear. We're here this evening because we need to have an honest conversation about what we've been doing in our space and what we've been doing within the entire country. And the definition of an honest conversation is looking at some of the positive and also some of the negative things that needs to be dealt with. As the parliamentary representative, I'm happy to serve a second term within the Kalinago space and the Atkinson and Twizel area. An area, I think, which has clearly, you could see, has developed immensely over the last 20 years. I mean, you drove through this space. Some of you came through the Castibus area, you drove through this space. And some of you came over the back road in the what was a Guti track before the Dominican Labour Party. And some of you came from the northern area for the Atkinson community. And when you came in, I'm sure you would have seen something different. So I welcome you to that space because it's an important one that has developed immensely. If you look carefully, if you look candidly, you will see the massive development in housing. As you enter through the margin area, you see 3 sets of houses. The EU homes are there, the houses under the HRP are there, and also the pre-Congo homes are also there. Very, very present, very, very visible. But more importantly though, during the course of the last 20 years, we have been able to develop a lot of human capacity in our space. So while I welcome you into that space, you are welcome as brothers and sisters, because some of you would have interacted with some of the professionals from our space. The medical doctors, teachers, the principals, the PSCs, heads of departments, and you realize that development not only speaks to what we see as infrastructure, but what we do as people. And I dare say, as the duly elected member of parliament for the Salybia constituency, I have seen development in both lenses, through development of people, but also through human capacity, and also infrastructure. So friends, I welcome you into that space because it is a space that has been very dear to me personally as a Kalinago brave, a warrior, someone who grew up in Salybia in Font Saint Marie, and who faced the rigors of the 2019 elections. We know this story. Some of you know the backstory of how I got into this thing, and just to continue the work that I started, just as a normal little Kalinago boy, within our space. And so the conversation today will speak to those things. There are some major achievements that we have had in this space for ourselves. And of course, with the help of the government. We've been able to have this wonderful school. We're able to have many housing schemes across that space. And all of this was totally destroyed in some sense when Hurricane Maria hit us. So we had to reconfigure our community. And hence, using what was us, what was our definition, resilience. Because sometimes we forget that, and we complain sometimes in the Salybia constituency, and we behave soft, and we touchy and sensitive, forgetting that we are serious warriors. We've stood hundreds of years of colonization. We fought people, we survived. And sometimes we get soft, and somebody raise their voice and we want to cry. And I don't understand this, because that is not who I am. That's not how I knew my brothers and sisters in the Kalinago space to be. So those of you from outside, I want to welcome you to that space, because more than ever in the history of our community, we see a resurgence of that spirit. That, yes, we have suffered great injustices for the course of our history. Yes, we have many things we have to do better. We have to look at our schools. How do we do our school system? How do we treat with culture within our space? And all of this is being done. But sometimes I get the feeling that we are not welcoming to some of those ideas of ourselves that help to make us better. And so, friends, I am happy that we're here this evening. Some of you would have been at home doing a little Netflix after they had their work, watching a little movie, scrolling through your TikTok, or making your own TikToks, from what I realize so far these days. But you're here with us tonight, and so I'm really excited to be here, and excited to hear what you have to say. Because I know for a fact that you're going to be candid, you're going to be straightforward, you're going to ask the good questions, the tough questions. And I may have to scratch my head sometimes, because sometimes those questions need to be answered, even if they're tough questions. It is important for us to have this meeting, because we need the community participation in government. We need to know what you think as a government. And even if we do come to your homes, or you say we don't come to your homes, even if we do have small executive meetings and little party meetings, and sometimes you don't come, or sometimes you don't show up, and even if there are massive PR on the radio and on Facebook, and you see what you want to see, but you don't see what you don't want to see, and you hear what you want to hear. Even if all that exists, you see, your voice is important in that conversation, because we have to be part of our process. And again, I welcome those of you from outside who are here, and my colleagues, ministers and parliamentarians, and especially Prime Minister who come from Itasi, which was one of the first serious Kalinago settlements on our island, into a space, because I think you as colleagues have contributed a lot in my personal journey, and I want to salute the work done by my predecessors. Honorable Daru Cassius is here. Kelly Grano, Ashton Grano is also here. Even going back further, good comrade Leonce Lawrence Daru, which Prime Minister, after this wonderful road is completed, we should name after him, a strong warrior who has done a lot for the community. So, in every sense of the way, friends, brothers, sisters, you are here to participate in an important conversation, because your voice, as I said before, is needed in that development process. When we realize in developing countries, in countries across the region, sometimes the voice of the local communities are not part of the development process. I dare say, while we talk about all of the projects we have had in the past, there are a few more to come. A new center in Badaka on Friday, so I invite all of you to come to Badaka on Friday, where we do a serious groundbreaking ceremony for a center. A place that has grown over the years from a little kai-pai to a serious community center, although there's some protestation against that movement, sad to say. So we're having a candid conversation. That's why I'm saying this, because this goes around in the community that it may not be the best place to do something like that. It's really sad. But I dare say that is happening. Also, we are continuing to build new homes as we speak. We are continuing with the students in China, who's in Cuba, in the various countries, are honing their skills to become good professionals. And so that's happened, and that's futuristic. And I dare say I welcome you to that community where there will be much more, or there will be many more professionals in the public service coming from our space. And that the Nature Island is the Kalinago brand because it's a unique space. And of course we have to do more. And of course I suspect some of you want to see me more. Of course I want to see me more. I wish I had plenty more time. I wish there was a 12-day week, but there's only a 7-day week. And I'm hoping that I can join you in your living rooms and other parts of the homes to have a conversation, because it's important. And I dare say I welcome you, the local community, because we see people across the line here. We have past Kalinago chiefs here as well, cultural leaders are here. We have people there who are seriously, Prime Minister and my colleagues, who have serious concerns of our development processes. And they want to lend a voice to the process. I'm not saying that we have not done that before, but it's a continuous process. And you are in a town hall, and the idea of a town hall, people, is that if you're able to connect with people at various levels on a personal level, you have a chance to have a voice now. And so we're happy to have this Prime Minister in our community, to have the Cabinet of Ministers here. And this is a serious government intervention. If you look at, those of you who are on the Facebook and who Google stuff, you realize that this is not a common occurrence in countries across the world. And I'm happy to have almost all of my colleagues here who have had a long, hard day of work, you know. Some of the fellas are red, they're tired. Some fellas come in sleepers because they buite in and they can't put a shoe. But they're here with you. And I dare say those of you who are here also, you have had a long day. And so let's have this good conversation. Let's ensure that we are respectful. Let us be candid, let's be fair, let's be honest, and let us put everything on the table, because the Salybia constituency will only get better if we continue to work as a people, if we continue to work as solid people. Because there's an old saying that the weakest link is the chain is thing. We are better together if we come together as a big tush cocoa thing rather than one tush cocoa. So there's all of those wonderful sayings. So we are much better working together. And if we keep pulling here and there, there's no way, brothers and sisters, friends, colleagues, people from here in the Kalinago space, in Atkinson and Drizzle, and those from outside, that we can ever build a powerful community. We have to take ourselves seriously. So again, I just want to welcome all of you here this evening, and hope we have a good time. Ask the questions. I will not be answering questions outside there after tonight, because I hope you can ask me all the questions tonight, because I had a long day as well, and I wanted to just go home and just put my foot up and hope I have the energy to come back tomorrow to serve you, and serve you much better than I would have done in the last couple of years. So brothers and sisters, thank you for being here, and welcome. Welcome to the Kalinago space.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frederick, for that overview of ongoing developments in the Salybia constituency and in the Kalinago territory. And also thank you for your warm welcome, I have to say, to the Kalinago space, as Honorable Frederick says. Now, you spoke about the road, the drive coming here. PS and I would have come here yesterday. We took the horseback ridge yesterday, and today we drove through Cassibruce on both ends. Yes, Minister, it's a nice road, yes? But to speak to you a bit more on ongoing developments with this particular project and other projects, I would like to invite Honorable Fidel Grant, the Minister for Public Works, Public Utilities, and the Digital Economy.
Thank you, CAPSEC. Let me first recognize the presence of the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let me also recognize the presence of the Parliamentary Representative, Honorable Frederick, other Cabinet Ministers, Permanent Secretaries financial secretaries, other senior government officials, people of the Kalinago territory, a warm good evening. This evening, I'm going to be brief, but if I have to go through all the things that the Ministry of Public Works will be doing, we'll be spending the night just on public works. But this evening, I'm going to focus on three main areas that are of benefit to the people within the Kalinago space, as the parrot likes to say. Firstly, we are going to look at the existing East Coast Road, what we call Lot 2. Lot 2 is 20 kilometers in length, and that is from Cassie Bruce to Hatton Garden. So within that lot, originally, we had 38 culverts, and this was increased to 92. And we had originally 8 retaining walls. This increased to 35. We originally had 20 kilometers of slipper drains. This was changed to 22 kilometers of slipper and box drains. And the reason for that is we recognized following the trough of November 2022 that we needed to make some changes. So you would have seen that in December last year, we had gone to Parliament for an additional loan of 100 million. So just to inform you that the Cassie Bruce to Hatton Garden leg of this project is costing the government in excess of $138 million. And some persons have queried, why are we spending this amount of money on just a road? So there are a number of benefits to a road. Most of you would have realized that coming here this evening from town, you have a quicker ride, it's much more comfortable, but most importantly, you are going to be saving in terms of the maintenance, the wear and tear on your vehicle. I see Teacher Valmo is there. She had many complaints of her vehicle. That should be resolved now, miss. But it's not just the benefits. It's not just the benefits that only the persons within the Kalinago space would reap. It extends beyond that. So most of you can testify to the fact that the Kalinago territory is a major tourist attraction. And you would have seen an increase in the number of visitors during this cruise ship season coming to the Kalinago territory because of the improved access that the visitor have. So you find now a number of coaster buses are having a smoother ride and are putting the Kalinago territory as part of the itinerary for tours. Now, what does this mean for the Kalinago people? It now gives you the opportunity to improve on your craft. Your fresh produce vendors, your farmers, you're going to see increased business. So the road, yes, it's a $38 million investment, but it's an investment in you, the Kalinago people, and Dominica by extension, that for many decades to come, you're going to reap that benefit of that investment. So I urge the Kalinago people that from now, if you have not started, to have a discussion, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Small Business, on how you can improve. Because very often we say that we build a road and the road is resilient, but it's not just a road. It's for what some of us would like to call, it's an economic highway to development. And I think that if we take advantage of it, the $38 million would be a drop in the bucket for the returns that the Kalinago people will be seeing. For those of us who travel to school and work, it's going to be a much quicker and shorter ride. So I think that the students, the teachers, and the persons who work in town are thankful for that. I'm not too sure what the record is for Minister Frederick, but I clock in 45 minutes, Roseau to Kalinago. Okay, so that is it for the road. For most of you, there's ongoing. One of the major components of this project would be the Pegwa Bridge. We made some significant changes and improvements to that bridge. So the bridge is 2-lane, and we expanded the span of that bridge. And we had to do some acquisition. This was done recently. So we changed the location. So that bridge increased from 3.5 to just over $8 million. And all these are investments in terms of access for you, the Kalinago people, and Dominica by extension. So the second area that I would like to touch on this evening is the WASCO. And first off, I would like to apologize for the inconvenience that the Kalinago territory has suffered over the last few months, particularly the residents of Bataka. We experienced some difficulties in the Crapo Hall area, so from time to time, you do not have water, and I would like to apologize on behalf of the WASCO, as the minister responsible for the WASCO, for the shortages that you experience. Outside of this shortage, we have some positive news to the WASCO. We have invested $6.5 million in redoing all the lines within the Kalinago territory. So you would have seen, while the road work is going on, that we would have been doing some replacement of lines, and this is through a loan from the DSS, Dominica Social Security, $6.5 million. So you would have experienced shortages over the last couple of years, and this was due to 4 major leaks that we had across the Kalinago territory that we constantly had to repair. So your water supply would be consistent within a few months. So again, I would like to thank you for your understanding and your patience in that matter. The third area that I would like to touch on this evening would be the digital economy. We have recently made grants available to several persons within the Kalinago territory. We have visited some of these persons recently, and we are pleased that they have purchased the computers. Some of them have done their Facebook pages, they have done websites, and they have improved their digital presence in terms of their business, and that is what the digital economy is all about, creating avenues using technology where residents can earn money. Another significant area in the digital economy is training. We have a number of training programs ongoing, and we will be coming in to the Kalinago territory soon. We had a meeting this morning with the staff, and I have asked the staff to go out. The manner in which sometimes we communicate needs to be improved. So the staff will be visiting the Kalinago territory and having discussions with the school, the village councils. We'll be visiting the blocks and having a heart-to-heart with the young people as to the certifications that are available for the young people. Within the Kalinago territory, one of the government's senior, if not only developer, Mr. Miguel Ogis, and I'm not too sure if he's here this evening, sir. So he's from the Kalinago territory, and he's one of the government's senior developer. And that just goes to show the amount of opportunities that are available within the digital economy. Mr. Ogis will be attending a developers workshop in Geneva, Switzerland. Congratulations, sir. But Mr. Ogis is one of many students that can come out of the Kalinago territory in terms of digital technology. So I would like to urge the parents who are here and the young people that are here, let us have a discussion as to how we can assist you. The training programs are free, and there are certification attached to those programs, and they are recognized globally. In closing, I would like to express a heartfelt thanks to the Kalinago people for their patience and understanding during the construction of the East Coast Road. We understand that there were a number of challenges. However, you have been patient, you have been understanding, and you have been tolerant. I believe that the headache which you would have suffered would have been met with a nice relief or a nice painkiller in terms of the ride that you now experience. So again, I would like to thank you for your understanding, thank you for your patience. We had an excellent relationship. The PAL rep was always on our case in terms of ensuring that the dust is managed and that the pipes are repaired. We know the WASCO is doing the best that they can, but overall, the response that we received from the Kalinago territory, I must say a heartfelt thank you to the people for the way that they behaved during this time, and we do appreciate your understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Grant, for this brief but very focused overview on some of the key projects which have had and will have an impact on the Kalinago territory and the Salybia constituency as a whole. I want to also recognize Mr. Ogis because As Cabinet Secretary, I have worked and collaborated with him on a number of applications for the government of Dominica. So just to tell you, when we roll out our online gazette, official gazette, just know that Mr. Miguel Auguste is the developer behind the gazette website. So thank you very much, Mr. Auguste. Very skilled and very talented young man. Thank you. At this time, of course, leading the charge on all of these development projects is the Honorable Prime Minister, and I'm very happy and delighted to welcome Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, the Prime Minister, to speak to us this evening.
Thank you very much. Let me recognize my colleague, the Pal Rep, Honorable Frederick, the Minister for Public Works, Honorable Grant, my cabinet colleagues present, the Canalago Chief, all of the residents of the Salybia constituency. I am so happy to be here this evening. This is part of our outreach in engaging communities. You're hearing from us, we're hearing from you, because that's what's going to bring progress to yourselves, to the community and to the country, where we can work together. It's not about government doing for you, but it's about you working with the government to make things better for you. And so I think this is the spirit in which we're engaging ourselves here at this town hall meeting. And I'm so happy for so many of you who have decided to attend. It tells me that you're interested in your development, you're interested in development of the Salybia constituency, and very importantly, you're interested in development of Dominica. This is our country. This is where the majority of us will call home until we die. And the question is, what do we want for our community? And the question is, what are we going to do? What is going to be our contribution towards achieving those things? It's easy for us to say, well, we want this and we want that, and this is what we should do, this is how we should do it. But it's also important for us to say, how do I play my role in achieving this? There's no question at all. There's no question at all that this government has invested heavily in this part of Dominica. And no time in our history, because history is important, lest we forget. Because sometimes we have things today in Dominica, and it appears that we take it for granted, believing that it was always there. It wasn't always there. If you look at education, for example, when I was at the college, there was nobody from this part of Dominica at the college. None. Not as students, and not as lecturers. Today we have that, both, because of the progressive policies and programs of this government, this party. We have revolutionized access to education in this country. We moved from, in 2000 we came into 44% of primary school students having access to high school, and in 2005 to 100%. Not by just writing it down on paper and say, well, let's go and do it. No, by investing in classroom spaces, investing in more teachers, investing in more resources. That's how we achieved it. But we're also able to achieve this because this party and this government understands how important education is to a country. And this is why we did not leave any stone unturned by investing in this. Then we go to college. When we came in 2000, only 7% of all secondary school graduates in Dominica had access to the college. 7 out of 100, that is. Which means 93 out of 100 students who graduated from high school in Dominica before 2000 did not have any access to high school. To college, sorry. Today, there is a space at the college for everyone who meets the basic requirement to enter the college. But there's one thing to create access. Because you can have a jam, big jam, but if you don't have money to go in, you can't have access to it. So the jam is there, but how do we get in? And so with school, we don't only create the spaces, we don't only provide the teachers and the material resources, we also provided the students and their parents with the means of taking advantage of the access. The means, textbooks, uniform, free transportation, and in the college case, no tuition. So parents don't have to worry. Back in the days when many of you, the few of you used to go to school, used to run from this bus driver when we see him at church or by the bar because we owe him money and we know he's going to ask us for money, and he tells the parent, the children, tell the mother, if she doesn't give me money tomorrow, I'll make you go up on the bus. And many children dropped out of school because of that. Bright children across Dominica. And sometimes people speak as if, well, we always had the state college, we always had universal access to secondary education. And I'm not even going to talk about university education. Anybody, well, I would say anybody, but 99% of people in this part of Dominica who access university, the Dominican Labour Party had a part to play in this. One way or the other. Even before we became the government, in the 80s and the 90s, when Rosie would go out and get scholarships from progressive governments in Europe. And even when we were promoting as a party scholarships to Cuba, the country was not recognizing the scholarship graduates. They couldn't practice, they couldn't teach, they couldn't dress our sores. The plans that they drew, they couldn't send into planning. Am I hearing us? I feel like I'm a preacher man tonight. Preaching the gospel. The gospel. And so I'm just saying these things to poke our consciousness, to jolt our consciousness. Then we come to housing. Nobody in here, and I see former Carnago chiefs here and former power reps here and people who are much older than me and who are historians in their own rights, cannot speak to any government spending money here in this part of Dominica on housing. No. I come from the Vegas constituency. We have always been in government. This is the only constituency in Dominica that has never been in opposition, both pre and post independence. That is why Labour will always stay in government, because it's always been. I'm speaking from a historical, empirical standpoint. And I can tell you, I'm a student of history. There's no home that any government fixed in that constituency, far more to build in that constituency, until we became the government. And the first time a government would have come here in the Salybia constituency to build homes was myself and Kelly Grano in 2002. When I came there myself, I wrote a project and got money from the French. And I got 10 homes for the Carnago territory. And we built 10 homes for 10 families. I remember my dear friend, may her soul rest in peace, Ma Vincent, right? Close to Big Chief home, right? Just adjacent, I believe. We call it River. I was there building with them in 2002. I wasn't no prime minister. It's the first time. And just to give you some little facts, because facts important, and I want to talk about how much money we spent prior to Hurricane Maria in this part of Dominica. Between 2018 and 2024, we spent $32,501,488.45 on housing alone. New home construction, general, $996,822. Under the HRP, the Housing Recovery Program, $12,900,000. The Sustainable Housing Solutions Housing Initiative, $11,406,030.64. And general home repairs, $5,350,050.71. And the cash register keep punching because we're in 2025. That was 2024. And so we continue to invest in housing, and we'll continue to do so in 2025. We will be doing the complete repairs and reconstruction of the housing schemes. These homes were built back then with concrete and wood. We have mobilized some materials for this. I believe we're negotiating with the contractors on the rates, and we will see actual work commence on this project and so forth. Then we have persons who were given commitments. We have visited some of those homes, and materials are being brought into. We're starting with about 5 or so of them, and we will certainly ensure that the commitments that we're given to everybody, that the government can fulfill those commitments. Of course, we have to give some special and differential attention to Atkinson. I believe sometimes when we speak about the Salybia constituency, we tend to forget that there's Atkinson and Treacle part of it. And we're not going to make any, we accept that responsibility. And we accept that oversight. And I'll give you the assurance that we will be coming in full force to Atkinson to address this apparent letting down, for want of a better term, in respect to housing for the Atkinson and Treacle communities and so forth. And I'll become myself, along with the Parliamentary Minister for Housing, to lead that process of ensuring that we can fulfill what appears to be a slight on the part of the government in respect to how we spend money in the Salybia constituency. And sometimes I believe we have to start saying Kalinago territory and Atkinson and Treacle, so that we're reminded that you're part of the constituency. Now, the Minister for Public Works spoke to you about the road. It is said that if you want development, you build roads. And I know many of you here and many other parts of Dominica, they keep telling me, but why you spend all that money on that road? I mean, you couldn't spend some money by us there in that constituency, in that village. We have so many things to do. So the original contract was $127 million. We went to Parliament to borrow $103 million additional for this road. Because the Minister of Public Works highlighted some of the changes we had to make because of our observations as a result of the trough system in 2022, November. That the designs there were limitations in the designs, and to ensure that these roads could be truly resilient in nature, and to ensure that the investments that we made prior to the trough were sustained, we had to go back to Parliament and borrow $103 million to this road. And he told you that we increased from 38 culverts in Lot 2 to 92 culverts. Because when you watch where the water was coming down, we saw a number of areas that if it did not be the culverts, eventually the road surface would be washed away. So we had to do that investment. And so some people will say, well, Scary, why didn't you spending money on housing or small business development, or we should have built a few hotels, some guest houses, invest in some guest houses in the Kalinago territory, in Kingston and Trizzel and so forth and so forth. But we have to appreciate, my dear brothers and sisters, that development is a process. And we also have to set priorities at any given time. And so the roads are important because that can spur economic opportunities for us in that part of Dominica. The more accessible we are, is more people we expect to come to our communities. Because it is safer to get there. It is easier to get there. It is less costly to get there. And so you're going to see an increased opportunity for us here in this part of Dominica because of the investments in the roads. And I myself, I agree, it's a lot of money. And that's the challenge we have as a government. Our terrain, the sheer amount of rain we're getting, the landslides and erosion taking place, the many ravines that we have, the many rivers that we have. I mean, only Castle Bruce, coming from Castle Bruce into the Kalinago territory, all of the bridges that we built, we had to demolish the old ones and build temporary bridges. You can imagine what we could have done with the monies that we spent on temporary bridges. I need 2 bridges in my constituency now. Right now. Urgent priority. But we decided to do it here. Then we talk about the new Sineku Primary School. Originally, the plan was just to replace the section of the Sineku Primary School that was damaged. And we decided, look, if we're going to go and build a school now, it is better we just do a complete campus, a complete school, to benefit you for the next 50 to 100 years. And this is why we had to relocate you into this Salybia Primary School, to give us the full access to the site, to allow us to build a brand new school for the people of Sineku and so forth. And it's a major investment. It's a major investment because when I hear some people speak in this country, they give the impression that nothing, absolutely nothing happened in Dominica. And I keep telling people we have to give God thanks for whatever we're getting. And so it's a significant investment. Then we come to the multi-purpose community center. It's a nice looking building, architecturally appealing. But the design itself is costing money. $7,625,000. That's the contract sum. Now, couldn't you have built it for $2 million and spend the other $5 million on some other things in the community? I agree with you. And when I got a note from the Ministry of Finance, from the Ministry of Environment, through the Ministry of Finance to me, to say that we went to tender because we only had about $5 million for this project. Maybe less than 5, but let's say 5. Went to tender, all the bids came way over the $5 million. And so we needed to fetch $2.5 million. I said so at the signing. I believe it's important to repeat it. $2.5 million. And that document sat on my desk for a few weeks. Because I'm saying to myself, with so many things I have to do as Prime Minister and we have to do as a government in this country, we have $5 million for a resource center. Why do we have to spend $7.7 million on it? So it sat on my desk for about 4 weeks. Going through my mind and saying, I even said I would come here and to speak to you and tell you, let us remove this and remove that and let us spend the money on some other things. But we had a risk where we had to go back to tender it would have delayed the project by a significant number of months, and there was a strong guarantee that we will come back with the bids being over the amount we had. And after some time, I decided to approve of allocating the additional $2.5 million to allow the project to continue. Now you understand the pain that I have when you have to spend all this money on structures in Dominica. But it's an investment that we made here in Bataka, in the location of the top ranking disco, that will benefit us here in this constituency, that will serve as a cultural center, that will serve as a major landmark in the Salybia constituency, that will serve as a hurricane shelter in the event that we are affected by a hurricane. And so there are multiplicity of benefits to you residing here. Now, I am sure in your minds you're saying, that's scary, I don't really think we need that building, we could have spent that money on something else. I'm sure. And I would agree with any of the suggestions you make in respect to how do we use that money. Then the minister told you of the investment in the water, a loan of $6.5 million. And Mark, I'm the Prime Minister, and up to now the ministry can't give me $1.2 million for the Penville water project. Because we've been suffering in my constituency of water for a few years now. The pipe keep bursting every single day, and we go with days. But they are such wonderful people that they understand. But the good Lord will provide that $1.2 million, I believe, in short order, so we can fix the problem in my constituency. But I'm also here to tell us that we have to look within ourselves and to look at the opportunities which exist, and how do we position ourselves to take advantage of the opportunities. Now, in this constituency, we are in a unique position. Unique position in respect to our culture, our tradition, our skills, our talents, that you won't find anywhere else in Dominica, to the extent that you will find it here in this part of Dominica. And I think that we have to find a way of harnessing our craft to better take advantage of the opportunities which exist for our craft. Is it a situation where we have to consolidate the sale of the craft? So we have people who produce it and we consolidate the sale, rather than each of us trying to sell what we make? Should we develop that model? I know we've spoken about before, but we've never been able to achieve this. I also believe that stay-over visitors is crucial for the economic well-being of the Salybia constituency. We have the sites, people come to visit, but these are day trips. We need people to sleep and to wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and have dinner, have lunch. I know Iwasi attempted this, and of course it was affected by the hurricane. And we need to go back to that plan, to that vision of creating, and you were picking up. I stayed there a night at Iwasi and experience what we have been talking about, the opportunities here. So when I talk, I'm not talking about books I read or Google things, I'm talking about practical things, you see. So I stayed at Iwasi a night, and I woke up, had breakfast, some nice eggs, local eggs, sweet potato, and etc., breakfast. And so we have to find a way of taking advantage of this special place that we have in the world, in Dominica. And this is a conversation that the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Small Business and the Ministry of Colonial Affairs need to have, and to the monies that we're making available, we need to prioritize and direct them into creating those kind of sustainable opportunities for the people of the Colonial Territory and Atkinson. And I believe tourism, but stay over tourism. And so You have, and my friend there, I'm looking for, I think I saw, well, yeah, it's my friend there. Regina has a plan. She has a little place in the mountain there. She brings guests to her farm and they help her in the farm, they eat from the farm. And we need to have 5, 6, 7 of those things across the constituency. Because tourists more and more are looking for that kind of experience and they're prepared to pay dollars for it. And so how do we help somebody like Regina improve on her business? And how do we motivate others who have that inclination to get into this? My other message to us here tonight, because I'm here, I won't be long because I want to hear from you, is that we have to promote sustainable living. We cannot have so much fertile soil and we all want to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner from a mini-mart in the constituency. There's no way we can survive. We have to grow what we eat. And we have to encourage succeeding generations to eat what we grow. I was in Miami, I came in today. I went to dinner, myself and my wife and so forth, and I had cassava. Cooked cassava. So why is only foreign going to make it fit? Where the chips? Where is the boiled cassava to offer the tourists? It can't be only foreign. Where the dried chips that we can package and the government is prepared to help people with investments to get into this. Government can't do it. You have to do it. Government can help, but you have to do it. And this is why hopefully very soon we will be putting about $2.7 million into the Canada Development Fund. And these are the kind of things that we want the fund to be used for. Things, not consumables, but things that can bring a return to you. Things that can make you money. Things that can employ people. Things that can bring the euros and the pounds and the US here into the Salybia constituency. To multiply and to add to what we have and to create economic activity in this constituency. And so we are moving on. In the Salybia constituency, we invest in through the NEP on a monthly basis, $226,304. So every month, the government is putting that money in the hands of people in that constituency. $226,304 every month. In any currency, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Empowering people. Through these programs, we have taken people out of poverty. Through provision of homes, we have taken people out of poverty because you now have an asset. Obviously, within the Canada space, because of the land tenureship, there are limitations with it. But it's an asset because you can trade among yourselves and between yourselves under the law. And so we continue to do what we have to do. The international airport, though it is in Wesley, but you're going to be one of the major beneficiaries of this airport. But we have to start preparing ourselves now. We can't wait for when the airport is completed and the people start coming to us for services and goods and we don't have it to provide them. So we have to start preparing ourselves. Then we also have, and hoping if all goes well, we will start we'll see the commencement of the cruise village in April of this year. Again, the whole intention is to bring more tourists into Dominica. Because we need to have consumption, we need to have more mouths to eat. and to consume what we're producing so that we can increase our production. And the only way we're going to do it is by bringing more people into Dominica. We have direct flights from Miami. And next month, February, God's willing, we'll have a direct flight from New Jersey. Which tells you that people are getting to know more about Dominica. And more people are coming in. We're in discussion with a direct flight from New York, JFK. We're keeping our fingers crossed, hoping all goes well with the negotiations and the discussions. So we have to prepare ourselves for these big ticket items that are not on the horizon but are actually being implemented that will benefit us. So even if it's not there next to us in our physical community, but it is part of Dominica. And what will happen for Dominica, for government, is that more people come in, more they consume, more revenues we can make, and therefore the government will be in a better position to provide goods and services to the citizens of Dominica. My final point to us, my two final points I want to say to us, two things that are very important to me and which preoccupies my mind. One has to do with the environment, the way we respect the environment, or the way we disrespect the environment, whichever you want to put it. But I want to go on the positive side. I think we have to enhance what the Lord has given to us. Because that's what we have. That's our patrimony. If we do not have the rivers flowing anymore, we'll be in a problem. If we do not have the trees to provide shade and fruits and food for us, we'll be in a problem. If we do not have the marine space to provide fish for us, we'll be in a problem. And therefore, we have to do more to protect the environment, more to enhance the environment. We have to do more to maintain the beauty and the cleanliness of our country. The wanton littering in Dominica has to stop. But it's not going to stop with the government or by the government. It's going to stop by each of us. Each of us having a greater consciousness of the environment. We cannot just keep dumping. We are the nature idol. That's what we promote ourselves as. And so I want to urge us to, please, let's do more for the environment, garbage collection, disposal. My final point has to do with CNCDs, chronic non-communicable diseases. This is an existential threat to us in Dominica. What saddens me is that I do not believe that the majority of us understand and appreciate the urgency and the emergency of this matter. There are just too many people who are succumbing to chronic diseases. And we have to go on the preventive mode. And more younger and younger people are succumbing to this. When you have a 38-year-old young girl or 48-year-old girl whose leg is amputated, who has an acute case of diabetes and hypertension, and whose organs are being affected, and she has 3 or 4 children, let us understand the impact on that family. It's a national emergency. It's a global emergency. I am not going to force, this is the government going to force itself on people. We're simply urging people, because at the end of the day, we have to make decisions for ourselves and choices for ourselves. But you see this thing called sugar that is in everything that we eat and drink in our country, including when people cook red beans. I don't know where did people get this thing of putting sugar in red beans. I mean, I know we used to put the beans to soak overnight and we pressure cook it, or we put it in a hard pot and we cook it. But people put brown sugar in or white sugar in red beans. I don't know why. I grew up in Vegas. We never knew people putting sugar in bakes. You put sugar in donuts, not bakes. And then people add sugar to bakes. The white flour already is dangerous, and you're adding sugar to it. And then we pour sugar in juice as if sugar is free. And then everything we buy from the shops is sugar, 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 sugar. My friends, we have to watch it. Because all of these roads that we're building, all of these homes that we're building, all of these schools that we're building, all of these resource centers we're building, all of the health centers we're building, all of the children we're sending to school here and overseas will mean nothing to us if we're unable, in a healthy way, healthy mind, healthy body, to enjoy those things. And it is maybe because I encounter more people than most people, and who I encounter with these ailments, maybe that's why I am at it. But it is a serious, serious problem. So if there's anything you heard from me tonight, I want you to go home with my message on CNCDs. I am very, very worried about this. It is a serious, serious threat. So I don't want to dampen your spirit here tonight, but it is a sobering reflection. And there's not enough out there in the public domain about this. It has to be a national effort for us to combat this. And we can start by either eliminating the use of sugar or reducing dramatically the use of sugar. I thank you so much for listening to me. Always a pleasure being here. I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. And of course, the Prime Minister has very passionately articulated not just ongoing projects and ongoing development within the Salybia constituency and the Kalinago territory, and of course across Dominica, but also has spoken very clearly about future opportunities that in this community and across the island that we should take hold of. As indicated at the start, we are here to engage with you. At this point, we are going to open the floor for your comments and questions. We are going to open the floor for your comments and questions. I would like to request that we be orderly and respectful. We have a few roving mics, I believe, yes, and we have some of our officers who will assist. So I'd like to ask you to please raise your hands if you would like to be acknowledged to speak. The process that will follow, we will take about 3 to 5 comments or questions, and then we will have responses from the head table. So we are ready as soon as you are ready. So let me see some hands so that we can come to you. Okay, so I see we have 1, 2 hands in the middle row, the gentleman with the black hat, and then we have 3 hands here. So please stand, yes, and speak clearly into the mic.
It's directly to Mr. Grant concerning the road. We observe the road is very thin. Is there going to be a second coat of the road of colas?
Okay, thank you. So we'll take that first question regarding the road. We have a second question to the end, yes.
Good night. My question goes straight to PM. My question is concerning the KDF Bank. We all know we have an issue in the Kalinago territory where most of us don't have the access to access that loan. As a supervisor of the NEP, I went to the bank for that loan and they turned me down. So I would like the PM to put something in place for the NEP workers when they go to that bank so they could access to that loan. Number 2 question concerning NEP. PM, if you cannot give us a raise, we need a bonus for Christmas. PM, it's not a joke. We have the Kalinago NEP, have been going all along, north, east, south, and west, and they have been doing a very good job. So we need a thumbs up. Even you cannot give us a salary, a higher salary, but we need a bonus. Please, PM. As you say, you love us, the Kalinago PM. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a third question in the middle. Comments? Yes. Please stand. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I stand here to say thank you to the Prime Minister. I'm from Atkinson. And from since year 2000, our Labour Party is in office. We haven't seen anything tangible happening in Atkinson. The people from Atkinson, I think they have given up. They have taken a back seat, because if we can remember the last election, from over 2,000 votes to 60-something votes, that is not a good sign. I thank the Prime Minister sincerely for giving us a little hope again and bringing us back to where we were before. What I would like to ask Prime Minister is whether he has a timeline when we can start to see something happening in Atkinson. Very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We will take one more question or comment for this first round. Okay, so let me recognize Mrs. Annette Sanford, the Kalinago Chief.
Mabrika. Yes, I'm happy to be here tonight because I believe that such discussion is about community development and an area where we can voice our concerns and also give our compliments if we have to. So tonight I have quite a few questions, but I'll try to be brief. First, we have the public works, and we appreciate the new road, of course. And I believe that people like me who have been working very hard and paying our tax, we deserve a good road to walk with for good shoes. And then the question I have is, recently we've been having some setbacks with a request that we made through the Kalinago Council office. We requested that the last few bus stops that are left be designed to reflect our traditional culture. I know that this that we came in late when the project had been started already. But when I wrote to the PS, Lancelot, he did give me confirmation that he will go for the design because we were asked to submit a new design. And we did all of that with the help of a few interested people. And the project is still continuing without our request. Recently, which is just yesterday, I had a meeting with the road manager, and it was very heated because the project will continue no matter whether we request it or not, and I really feel strongly about it because it's only about 3 bus stops left, and I don't think it will cost too much to be able to at least have these 3 last bus stops, which are situated strategically by the l'escalated share, the point to the Barona Ote, particularly if we are talking about tourism and wanting a little bit more for the tourists to see our traditions and culture. I would really like the Minister of Public Works to look into that first, please. Secondly, my question is healthcare cost. Healthcare is very expensive for the indigenous people. Most of them who go to the hospital oftentimes cannot afford it. I guess you know all the background already on why most of them cannot afford it. I know a person who is currently home, sent back from the Alford ward because he couldn't do his surgery, and he is at home. So what measures are in place for the Kalinago territory in terms of meeting the cost of healthcare? Secondly, we look at agriculture. I saw a flyer about $100,000 invested into the boat industry. I would like to find out how was that money spent and how was that money spent? Because I've not seen any fishermen in the community or any improvements in the fishing industry within the Kalinago territory. And lastly, I have another concern about the respect for the office of the Kalinago chief and the council. I will just give an example. I received a letter yesterday confirming my attendance at the groundbreaking ceremony to give a welcome remark. And then I was also asked to submit my welcome remarks prior to going to give my welcome remarks. I find that a little bit disrespectful, and I would really like you, Mr. Prime Minister, to really have a little more respect for the Kalinago chief and council. Excuse me. It came from the Ministry of Environment. I have the letter with me. Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, that's
Before I give you the letter, one more. We know of the building of the Senego Primary School. I visited there recently. Last year, for the first term of the school year, we had an incident where one of our young men happened to get into some altercation and stabbed another student. He was placed on suspension for quite, well, we don't know, he doesn't have an end, we don't know. We haven't had any feedback from the school exactly when that suspension is going to end, with no follow-up with the student, and so on. We've made several requests to meet the principal and the school and to have a meeting with them, and they keep telling us that they were given instructions from the ministry not to interact with anyone unless the case is heard. I would also like to find out, would policies be looked at, putting policies in place? Will there be policies put in place to address bullying to our indigenous students at our secondary school?
Okay, thank you very much. So I will invite the Honorable Prime Minister to respond to the questions.
Well, I'll start with the last point. I mean, I would caution against anyone giving the impression that bullying is only attached to Kalinago children. Bullying is a national issue, a global issue. So let us not make it an issue of ethnicity or race and so on. This is not true at all. I mean, so it is an issue that governments and institutions the world over are seeking to address, especially with the advent of social media and everybody now is going on Facebook and saying what they want and doing what they want and attacking people and all those things. But it's also important that we condemn these things at all levels and from all sectors of the society. And so it's important that we do that. The issue of your welcome remarks is certainly, I don't want you to give or anybody to have an impression that that came from the Prime Minister or any minister. That's not government's position whatsoever. So I don't know who would have told you to give them a remarks. Anybody who would have told you to give them a remarks in advance will be out of order. And so this is not a government position. If I am at a function and somebody says something, I can respond myself. I don't have to have a written speech to respond to anybody. So I don't think. So I'm not sure where that came from. And that is not. And I would suggest to you that you do not make available to anyone, if you so decide, anybody. But anybody from the government who asks you for the speech, you are not obligated to give to them, because this is not a government position. I have never heard that happening. Okay, so this is not government position whatsoever. The issue of healthcare, you know as a nurse that the government provides free healthcare to people 60 and over and 18 and younger. if somebody comes into the hospital and is admitted from the accident or emergency, or you're referred by a district medical officer, and you get admitted into the government public health system. So the average surgery will cost you from the government fees about between $580 or between $880. What is happening at the hospital, and which I believe people need to talk about, is that doctors charge the patients privately. So you move from a $580 fee to a $15,580 fee. And I can tell you, because I deal with this on the government behalf, I have had to approve literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for private surgeries when those surgeries ought to be done in the public health system, utilizing government facilities, government nurses, government stuff, and so on. So that is what may have happened to your Kalinago resident, where he or she got into the hospital, ostensibly may have referred to by the district medical doctor, got admitted into the public health, and therefore that patient is a public health patient. And that patient should be subjected to public health fees. And I think that we need to have an honest conversation in this country as to what are the challenges that we are confronting in the health sector in Dominica. And then we get the blame for it. Well, you know, I get the blame for it because one person they call scared. And so, if each of us were to respect the procedures at the hospital, we would not find healthcare prohibitive to many citizens. And this is a challenge. And all of you know it, you've experienced it, many of you have experienced it. And so why are you, I'm not talking to necessarily you here, but in the country, why you remain silent? Why don't we speak about those things publicly? About our experiences? And in these days, the practice of medicine has changed. Unless you don't show a doctor the money, nothing happens to you. So unless you show him the money, nothing happens. But I would like to know of this particular case and to see how we can facilitate that person to access the medical intervention that he or she requires. The issue of the requested bus stop, I think that's a matter. I cannot give any commitment to this. A contract has been signed. This is an international contract financed by the World Bank. There are protocols and there are processes. There were a number of opportunities during consultations on this project, because a requirement by the World Bank is that there must be public consultation. So I'm not sure what happened at the public consultation, but so I cannot say that I can give instructions to change the design at this stage, because I don't think I can do so unless there's going to be cost variations, and I need to be advised on the legal and financial implication of that decision before I can give any comment on this matter. But I'm not saying that at this stage it is going to be very difficult, because if you realize all the variations we made, we had to pay for it, and a significant cost. And so I am not aware of this. I'm hearing it tonight, but it's a matter for the Minister of Public Works and the Minister of Finance to inquire about this thing and to see what this maybe could happen if the contractor is amenable to that request, providing that it is within the cost estimate. So if there's a cost estimate of $20,000 for a bus stop, if the redesigning will fall within that $20,000, then there may be a consideration. So we need to be advised on what's the cost variation for that. Because it's not straightforward. If there's government money and government contract, I could tell you tonight we could change it. But these are externally financed money, even if it is a loan, we still will follow the procurement processes and the contractual and legal obligations of that particular matter. Atkinson, dudes, I will be in Atkinson, I believe, on Wednesday, the 6th, so we can put things in place to commence this housing project. and to assist some of the other residents on their private properties. But some of the issues that we have in Atkinson is the issue of land ownership. So there are some people who I know that I have approved to build on the lands, but the land do not belong to them. And so there are some issues there that we need to address on people's individual lots. But insofar as the land that we acquired, you will see me on Wednesday next week to move with the commencement of that project. My dear sister, my friend, I agree you guys work hard, you know. I love the NEP, and it's not NEP, it's NEP, eh? Thank you very much. I mean, the vast majority of NEP communities, they do a fantastic job. And it's not easy work, but it's important work you're doing to enhance the communities, keep the communities beautiful and clean. And I drove on the horseback ridge this afternoon, and, you know, it's really a wonderful drive, and it's hard work. So I will have to take that question in chambers and so on. So I will have to look at that. A little bonus at some point for those who are engaged in the beautification. In respect to the Kalinago Development Fund, and they're not allowing NEP, I will change that decision. I will ensure that it is included in revised cabinet decision on Tuesday. So that the aid bank, because it's government money, government guarantee. So the aid bank cannot set their own rules. We will set the rules for the aid bank in respect to that. And on Tuesday in cabinet, we'll change that. So you can benefit from this particular source from the aid bank. I'm not sure why the aid bank telling you that anyway, but I guess. Mr. Frederick, on the road, I will consult with the Public Works on this. I know there are a couple. Grant, you want to speak to that, Grant? Give some information still? Yes, Grant has more information on that.
Good evening again. So the road, we have a 2-inch asphalt base, and we have a 16-inch sub base using tarish compacted. We recognize that there are some defects along the road that we are discussing with the consultant engineer. So we have to redo, basically rip up some colas and redo it, the asphalt area. So I think that are some of the areas that you might be speaking to, sir. Yeah. So we'll have a discussion, Mr. Frederick, and then we'll look at it. To Mrs. Sanford, Kalinago Chief, we have done so repeatedly in the past, where we have respectfully asked persons do not engage with the contractors. The government is the client, and the contractors cannot make modifications without the express approval of the government. And from time to time, we have the contractors saying that persons are requesting driveways, persons are requesting retaining walls. Each variation the contractor makes, it has a cost to them, which in turn they bill to the government. So as you would have heard, in December, we had variations exceeding $100 million. So at this stage, I do not think that it would be possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very engaging conversation so far. Very good questions, and we've been receiving the responses from the head table, the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister Grant. So we have an opportunity now. I'm sure there are others who would like to speak, or you have any questions or other comments. Let me see your hands. Okay, we have the young lady here, and then we have a second gentleman on this side. Okay, so we have 3 hands for now. Go ahead.
Hi, PM. Can you see my face? Do you want me to come at the front? So good night to everyone, and good night to Ma Boyd and her correspondence. I know I'll get it very early tomorrow morning. PM, my question. Well, clarifications first. I wasn't at the inauguration of the Kalinago Chief when that ceremony. However, I've been getting feedbacks from Kalinago residents claiming, or even basically coming to me for clarification whether or not the DOASCO bill was covered or negotiated by the Kalinago Chief and Council or by the government of Dominica. That is clarification, I am not sure. So that's the information. So I want to know who negotiated for the $1.4 million to be cleared. Was it from the Kalinago Chief and her council, or was it the cabinet paper that was done previously to even the election itself? So I want that to be clear because I want to be sure I don't hear people say, well, it's the Kalinago Chief that say it's clean. And for me, if that is the case, I would just figure out, well, best we just have the Kalinago Chief to just rule the whole place. And I'm pretty sure that is not the case. So I would like clarification so everyone here tonight will get to know the truth. I want that to be clear. Second, in reference to the healthcare, I would like to inform everyone that although we may not be able to pay off all of the bills, and I'm saying although we, as if I'm part of the government, but I would like us to know that for the past 3 months, the Office of the Prime Minister has covered $246,000 in medical care for, and that is what I know. And sometimes we don't know it. So for me, for example, PM, I gave you a lot of blues. I say I don't see no need for the rapid response unit. But when you are in the situation and you see you need to get a child out of Dominica urgently, that is when you see the need. Okay? So we have here tonight Mary James. Mary, raise your hands. That's Mary James. And Kenny Valmont is in Trinidad. And I would like to say thank you on his behalf. PM, for clarification again, Maho River doesn't get anything. Gullet River doesn't get anything. I just want to be clear. Are you saying that we are going to get the housing scheme in Maho River? And lastly, I would like to say thank you on behalf of my aunt. She's right at the back. Auntie, raise your hands. For the World Bank house, and I believe sometimes we just get the house, you know. We don't pay for it. We don't have to pay $500 mortgage at the end of the month. So we just figure out it's free. But it might be free to you, but it is not free of cost to somebody else. And I know tonight making that statement and my boy and everybody looking at me, I will be getting it tomorrow, but I think fairness, all fairness due. Thank you very much. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So we have a few questions from you. There's a gentleman, yes, can you please stand?
Thank you very much. My question has to do with education, and I think I would like to propose beginning a dialogue about a secondary school for the Kalinago territory. I say beginning a dialogue because that takes time. I think let me share a little bit about a discovery I made whilst doing a research for a paper. It has to do with an indigenous community in Latin America. And the community had problems, and they wanted to revive the community. So the leaders got together and they decided that the best thing to revive that community was to build a school in that community. They did build a school, and the community came back alive. And very much so, I think we can take some wisdom from that example, that if we have a secondary school in the Kalinago territory, and if I may say, the Seneca school could be that, you know. We could start there. And it could provide, of course, education and employment opportunity for some, because we have college graduates who could be teachers there. And some of them can find a teaching job in that secondary school. So once again, I would really love if we could begin a dialogue on secondary school for the Kalinago territory.
Okay. Thank you. We had someone in the middle with their hand up. I don't know if they changed their mind, but okay, so we have hand up to the back. Go ahead. Oh. Right. We'll
Good
take you
evening,
next.
everyone. Well, I came with my sole intention to address the Prime Minister in relation to Atkinson, but I heard dudes ahead of me, and I wish to thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for the words that I heard, that the encouragement that you give to Atkinson people, because as dudes said, we look like the forgotten ones. So, because after hurricane, houses were built all over and not one in Atkinson, and we really need people in Atkinson with the house as well. So, thank you very much for the words I heard. I heard you will be in Atkinson, and I'm hoping to see you then. Other pertinent issues I have, I think, because I'll be seeing you on Wednesday, I'll be able to talk to you directly. So, thank you very much. I appreciate your visit to Atkinson, and we will let you know how we feel. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. So there's a hand at the front. Can you take the mic to her?
Let me say good evening and welcome to the PM and his cabinet. And it's a privilege to have you all among us this evening, and we do appreciate it. And PM, I just want to say thank you and congratulations for what you have already done in the territory and what you will continue to do for us in the territory. But a few concerns. You mentioned the road, and which we are very happy. I am happy myself because I drive, so I know the difficulties that we faced. And I am happy now that the road is almost ended and we have good road we can travel on. And yes, as you said, we will be having a lot of visitors in the Kalinago territory. One of the things though, when we will be having a lot of visitors and they'll be coming to see our tourism sites, we have the Barana Ote and we have different sites that they need to come in and see. My question to you or the tourism minister, if he or she is around, is what assistance can be given or will be given to develop our Kalinago tourism industry? We do not have a tour, a Kalinago tour for the Kalinago territory, and this is something that we have to look into. But in order to have more visitors coming into the territory, we need to develop our tourism areas. The Baranaoti, a lot of people come to visit, but there are a lot of things that need to be done. Money needs to be invested into the Baranaoti. There are a lot of developments that need to be done there. We call it, this is the only area that more or less that you have the Kalinago culture. But when you come down there, how would I say it? If you buy a meal, you will not get a Kalinago meal. The crafts, yes, we need to have people on site, but we need finance in order to do that, because it is difficult for the little crafts that the people are making in order to generate it, in order to expand bigger. So we are asking for assistance from the government in order, when it comes to funding, to enhance our Barana Oti. Also, there are other sites that need to be developed. We have the escalated chain and other areas that have not yet been developed, but they need to be developed. In order for us to make the Kalinago territory as a tourism site, we need investment, and we need the tourism sector to assist us. The ministry, the government, whoever it is, to assist us in this area. Agriculture. I'm not sure, I keep hearing that money is invested into agriculture to help farmers, to help individuals. I am a single farmer myself, and I believe 100% from farm to table. Whatever you grow, you eat, and I believe that. But in order for us to develop and to do it on a wider scale, we also need assistance. And I will tell you from my personal experience. I have 4 workers. I pay them from my pocket, right? There's only one. I have one from the NEP, and I'm very grateful. He gives me 3 days a week, but I pay him the other 3 days for the rest of the week, and my other workers. I pay them from my pocket. I buy my fertilizer. I buy everything. There was a program going on for agriculture where we could get for that banana and plantain, where we could get fertilizer. Nothing came out of it. And it is hard and difficult for us, for me as a single person and as a single woman and self-employed, in order to generate income to sustain my farm. I pay my workers, I have to buy everything else in order, my plants, my seeds and everything. So I am asking what it is that the government have, or what can you all contribute in order to make it easier for us in order to have better yield and expand our agricultural produce. Also, another concern I have in the territory, when it comes to security, our police. We do not have a transport at the police station. You make a report and the police will tell you we do not have a transport for us to come and see what is your problem. One police is there and will tell you, I cannot leave because I'm alone in the police station. Or they will ask a civilian, can you please watch over the police station for me in order for me to go to the work? This is ridiculous. It is. And something needs to be done when it comes to security in the Kalinago territory. We are a wide area. It is the Kalinago territory is not a little place, it's a large area. And something needs to be done about this security for the Kalinago territory. Okay. All right. I will pause my question,
yes,
for now, and I'll continue later. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you. So we have an exhaustive list. I would like to give the Honorable Prime Minister and the other members of the head table an opportunity to respond at this time. Thank you.
You'll say a few words. Well, on the question of tourism, the Minister of Tourism will say a few words, and of course, on agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture will share with you some insights on some of the support that we provide to farmers. The issue of Mao River, as you know, there is a fault in Mao River. There are some of the homeowners who have said, it's okay, we can fix the homes for them, but we are concerned about the fault. So this is why we did not mobilize materials for that particular housing scheme. So we need to have a further conversation on this. There's a fault going across the Kalinago territory. It's something that we need to study very carefully. So this is why we have not provided materials on that housing scheme site. The issue of the secondary school. I mean, the question, my dear brother, is how many children we had in the Kalinago territory born last year? A lot? Really? I mean, it's a conversation that we can have, a dialogue, as you say, and I would certainly like to join that dialogue. Because while having your own secondary school might be an aspirational thing and might be something that might be good, we also have to be pragmatic. The reality is, will you be able to get sufficiently trained teachers in all, of course, really trained teachers in all of these disciplines, whether you have enough students per form, per class. So let us be careful. I mean, I'm thinking it might be easier for you to ask for the extension of the Kalinago territory in the Castlebrooks and only the Castlebrooks Secondary School than to build one just for you here. You'll have a challenge, but I think we can have a conversation on this, as you say, and to explore the thing. But it is something that you have to be mindful of. The reality is, school populations are dropping, and unless there is a surge in births, then to sustain the school and the numbers, you'll have a challenge. I mean, you just have to look at the secondary school, at the primary schools. How many children are sitting in national assessment exams? Many of the primary schools, the reality is, if we're to look at this thing objectively, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand or misrepresent what I'm about to say, if you're to look at this thing very objectively, there are a number of teaching positions that we do not need because of the size of the classrooms. What we have done over the years is to have now multi-grade system. And in some schools, some primary schools, you have 2 teachers in the classroom with 5 children. The ratio of student to teacher in Dominica is far better than most developed countries because of the population and because of the fact that we want to maintain primary schools in particular in the villages as far as practically possible. There are some communities that will effectively close themselves. The schools will close themselves because of the dramatic drop in number of children in primary school. So you need to look at your source market, primary school in the Kalinago territory, and to see how many children are in the primary school and what ages and what is the registration rate in the last 10 years. What do these numbers say? So there's some empirical data that we need to study for us to have a very mature and objective conversation on this. The issue of security, I do not know the particular issue of the vehicle in the Kalinago territory. I know the chief told me that they will be providing them one soon. But part of the problem we have with vehicles generally in the public service and in police in particular is that they mash it up faster. I know the police can't drive. I mean, I thought it was the standard that we get automatic, the same thing. But the chief is here and he is fully aware of the issue. And whatever support I can provide, I will provide to them to address the issue. But I don't think that it is envisaged that there'll be one police officer at the station at any given time. So that's something that the chief has taken note of. The final point about the water rates, first of all, the general manager of DOASCO is not empowered to waive any rates in Dominica. The board is not authorized to do so, especially after we introduced the new rates, made it clear to everybody that outside of the cabinet, only the Prime Minister can waive any rates in Dominica. Because DOASCO has to manage itself properly, it has to collect as much as possible. We recognize that the Kalinago territory was in a particular situation, and we decided to waive about $2.3 million of outstanding rates. So there's nobody outside of the cabinet who could have authorized that, nobody. People can have conversations, but the ultimate decision is that of the cabinet. And so not even DOASCO can do that. And if DOASCO does that, the manager will be fired. By me, not by the board. Because they have to manage it properly and ensure that they collect the rates to pay their bills so that we don't see an increase in water rates for anybody again. And so we're very clear on this. But the reality is, if anybody wants to take credit for it, it's okay with me. I mean, the point is, we're doing what we have to do, and we'll continue what we have to do. I think these are the issues you raised with me. And you made the point about the rapid response and the so-called red clinic. And I'm happy that you pointed out that there are some people in the country who have criticized this, not understanding the importance of it and the impact it has had and continue to have on people's lives. We are placed on earth to help people. It's not everybody who will have the means of taking care of themselves. And the Bible tells us that we have to be our neighbor's keeper. And so, for me personally, I do not only believe that we have a political responsibility to people, but we have a biblical responsibility. And as difficult as it gets sometimes for the government to sustain the programs that it has in place, we have maintained those programs because we understand our greater responsibility and we understand how important it is to people. So you will hear people say, well, why don't you cut the NEP by 50% and put it in tourism or put it in agriculture, put it in infrastructure, put it in this, put it in that? But these are people sometimes who don't understand the impact of it on
on individuals. And what does it mean to people? What does it mean to the poverty level? What does it mean to the people able to take care of their families? And so it is a difficult situation to sustain. And the amount of money we spend on healthcare locally, plus the facility people going overseas for specialized treatment is huge. And you pointed out that's from your facilitation, because I know that you took charge of a couple or 2 or 3 people from the Kalinago territory and you prepared the documents for them and you facilitated them through. That just through you, $246,000 were approved. And that's just the tip, as a drop in the ocean, the extent to which we have assisted people. People tell us we should not give homes to people, or they should buy it, or we should sell it to them. I agree to that to a certain extent. But the reality is, if I were to sell a house to one of the families here in the Kalinago territory, would they have the means of paying the government back? And if they have the means, how long would it take them to pay the government back? Outside of you being a public officer or on the establishment in the private sector. And so it is a balancing act the government has to engage itself in. But it is not easy. We do not complain because leaders must not complain. Leaders must find solutions to problems. And that's what we have been doing. But it is not easy at all to sustain those investments. And in a country like Dominica, which is the situation in most Caribbean countries, governments carry the bulk of the responsibility. And this government has gone beyond its remit, the remit of any government, because the government has 4 responsibilities. Basic education. This is why at age 16 you will have been sent home from school. Basic health care. That is, you go to the health center, you get to see a nurse. Beyond that, you have to pay. Basic infrastructure. That is why our roads were narrow. That's why our bridges were 1 lane. Basic, to get to one point to the other. And security. 4 responsibilities. This is why governments never spent money on housing. This is why governments felt bringing water to every part of the country and the cost of it with no return. They never did those things. To spend $6.5 million on the Kalinago territory for water, on top of what we spent about 3.4 prior to the hurricane. You'll never make the money back. You'll never make it, no matter how much you charge, you'll never make the money back. A loan at 6% interest. To pay the money back, you'd have to make about 8 or 10% return on your investment. And there's a politician talking about no businessman, no banker, that's applying common sense to this thing. And so, when we see these things happening, I believe that we have to appreciate those things. Because it's not that the government has money sitting there, doesn't know what to do with it. We have to be juggling sometimes, and to ensure that we can meet the needs of our people as much as possible. Similarly, for example, garbage collection. Nobody pays for garbage collection across Dominica. But you go to Guadeloupe and you go to St. Lucia and you go to other parts of the Caribbean, people pay. People pay. And so I want to thank the chairperson of the Council of Atkinson and my friend. Nice to see you, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday when I come so we can talk about other issues. But thank you for your courtesy. Thank you very much. Tourism and then agriculture, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited that you asked a question about tourism, so I can share with you all the wonderful investments we are making in the Kalinago territory from since 2024. Gwen is here, so she can attest. We actually have about 13 projects we have identified. We did a tour, the Ministry of Tourism, we came up to the Kalinago territory, we were joined by the council, and in 2024 we did a tour. And we identified about 13 sites and projects that we want to develop to give you the opportunity to gain revenue and to make money and income under the tourism industry. Because as PM rightly said, the Kalinago territory is a gem because of your unique culture and heritage, and it's experience that every visitor around the world would want to experience. So we have to help you. First, we have to upgrade your products and help you build capacity so you can take advantage of these opportunities. But we have started the process, so I'll give you an update since I realize you're not aware of all what is going on. So we have Basin Uba Pond, and if I say the road wrongly, Cozy will correct me. Basin Uba Pond, L'Escalated Share, Basin Totozi, Basin Totozi, Lovers Pool, Centipede Trail, the 1930 War Memorial Site. We have the waterfall, we have the KBA Roof Project, Horseback Ridge, Charles Warner Pool, the German Cemetery, and the segment of the Whitey Kubuli National Trail. So on the escalated share upgrade, we have started work. In fact, work was recently completed on the platform. We did new railings, and we also redid the steps. And interestingly, I think the contractor completed the work about a week ago, and on Monday, I received pictures of damages to the new gazebo we just completed, the platform. So I want to encourage us as a community. These investments are quite costly. It was a $66,000 contract, and it was an opportunity to improve that site for better access for visitors and to make it safer. But imagine you making an investment, and before you get an opportunity, it is already destroyed. So I really want us to come together and own those community projects and protect all the investments that the government is making for you to take advantage of opportunities in tourism. The Lovers Pool, the access steps to be enhanced to provide easier access. So that project we hope to start soon. The 1930 War Memorial assessment was conducted. We have to do a second consultation and finalize estimates, and we hope to commence work on that soon. The KBA, as you know, the ABA was severely damaged by Hurricane Maria, but we have started the process of retouching the roofs. So I think it's about 80% complete, PS. We've done the kitchen and the main building, so hopefully when that is complete, I agree with you. The Kalinago experience has to be very unique and different at the KBA, and so we have started to have conversations about what tour packages we want to have. We had a group who came to Dominica from Travel PR London, and when they arrived at the airport, the first stop we took them to was the KBA, and they had a marvelous time. They dressed as a Kalinago for the day. Some of them got Kalinago names. They partook in a Kalinago dance. And they said to us that was the best experience ever in any island, and that every visitor should be able to book a Kalinago tour. So we had this cluster project, which was about a $1.1 million investment, which we recently completed. And so you also have a Kalinago website. You have your very own website. So as we upgrade these sites, what we'll be doing is coming back to have a meeting with you, the council and the tourism groups, and all of you are interested to help you create packages. We currently have a consultant on island who will be visiting you because you're very unique and special, so you get special attention. As you know, you have the Kalinago pillar, and so all these projects I mentioned, about 5 of them are ongoing. I don't want to take up all the time, but at least 5 of them are ongoing, and the work is continuing, and we hope by the end of the year, we'll be able to officially launch the website with all the upgrades and the new packages so that more visitors can enjoy the Kalinago space. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. Happy to be here, of course, and thank you for your question on agriculture. That gets me really excited because I get the opportunity for me to discuss some of our pertinent issues. But to be specific to your question, I just realized maybe your issue. We had a program, or we have a program where we support farmers with plantain and banana tissue culture plants. You may have not been a beneficiary. The reason why you were not supported with fertilizer. But I can always deal with that on the side. But having said that, we invested and we procured actually 30,000 tissue culture planted banana plants and 15,000 plantain plants, which we imported from France. And from all reports, they are doing very well, and they're sort of tolerant to, for now, of the black cickatoka. But the good news is that would have been the last time we've imported, we will be importing plants that are tissue cultured, because we've invested $11.2 million in a tissue culture lab at 1 Mile, where we are already producing and propagating tissue culture plants. For example, we have done dashins, and we're in the trial stage. We are now finalizing the protocols for the plantains, bananas, sweet potato, and pineapples, so we can do mass propagation to provide to farmers. And that would be clean planting material. And the lab has a capacity of about 500,000 plants annually. So that's a big boost for production in Dominica. As I'm on my feet, I just want to quickly mention some of the investments that we're having, which is currently ongoing. We are constructing a national abattoir for over $6 million. And not just building the abattoir for $6 million. We have provided livestock farmers, and we have beneficiaries in the Kalinago territory as well, with building materials to construct resilient pens at about $7.9 million as well. So we're not just focusing on the processing part, we're also looking at supporting farmers to provide the birds and the pigs to the abattoir so that we can have production to reduce our inward bill. Recently, we also signed a contract of over $7 million for a brand new citrus certification facility. What that will do is help us supply farmers with clean citrus planting material, because we know we have been suffering with Chisteria virus and the greening disease. So that facility will enable us to provide you all with clean planting material. But as we are doing that, in 1 Mile, we are propagating about 100,000 citrus plants. So by the middle of this year, we'll be able to supply farmers with at least 50,000, and by the end of this year, we'll do the second 50,000. So all that is happening in the sector, and the Kalinago territory is not excluded from it. And I would say for the citrus part, for example, well, my officers would say the Kalinago territory is not suitable for citrus. I don't think so, because of our elevation. You know, so we'll change the norm, and people from here will be provided with citrus plants by mid of this year, because we're looking to revamp the citrus industry, because there are huge potential for the export of citrus, and of course, for food security, and to tackle the CNCDs the PM mentioned early on. Just before I leave, my Minister for Dexia is right there. We also established a procurement facility of $5 million, where Dexia is purchasing fresh produce from farmers and paying them within 3 days maximum, 2 to 3 days maximum. And what I mean, so far we've expended about almost $3 million from that, purchasing from farmers, and we've seen already increased production and establishment because of that. For example, Dexia last year, June to July, the sales of plantains only increased by about 100% from what compared to the 2 previous years. So that's the impact that facility already have on the plantain and banana subsector. And we know the Kalinago do a lot of agro-processing, where they do with the cassava, etc. We have a project on the agro-processing component of about over $3 million. We are going to purchase equipment and stuff for the processors so that we can increase the food safety issues we are having on some of the establishment. And that will be given for free to the farmers, so they can enhance production and productivity and to increase the food safety issues on island. So it's a lot I can say tonight. I can stay down until midnight when it comes to agriculture, because that's what I am passionate about. But the Kalinago chief mentioned about the boats. Yeah, we will not respond. We are currently constructing 54 boats, but these boats already have beneficiaries. These are persons who lost boats after Hurricane Maria, and the boats are not yet replaced. So now we have a facility, we are constructing them, but it wasn't a separate project we are doing now, and we are looking for beneficiaries. The names are all tagged on them already, so we are enrolling a component. Before that, we had a component where we replaced engines, the outboard motor engines, about 105 of them for persons who opted for engines instead of boats. So it's not a project that we have now to call for proposal. It's a project we are only now to support the beneficiaries that are already listed for the boats. Okay? No, that's a national project, and that's person who lost boat, let's say along the West Coast, and the fisheries department will have the records of them, so they're the beneficiaries. Okay? No, well, I won't know. The department, but I'm not aware of this project at all. Okay? And I don't think the Minister with specific responsibility for fisheries is aware either. So it's something we can discuss after. Can give me some more details, okay? Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, so I addressed that early on. The fertilizer was meant for the persons who were given the culture plants. So if you were not given the plants, you would not have been given fertilizer. However, last year, December, not last year, year before December, we received a consignment of 5,000 bags from Morocco, and we distributed around the island. And as we speak, we have some containers on the water coming down, the floating in transit, with additional, with a similar amount, the consignment, so we'll ensure that you'll be taken care of. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As you can see, we've done our best to address all of the questions that have been raised. We initially planned to end at 8. However, the Honorable Prime Minister has given us the opportunity to have just a final round. I haven't seen any more hands, but just in case we have 1 or 2 people who would like to raise a comment or question. So we'll take 3 final individuals. I see we have 1 person, 2 here and 1, 2 here, 1 at the back, and we'll take 1 on this side. So we'll take 4 final individuals. Please stand.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the Cabinet of Ministers. My name is Catherine Laura. I'm from Atkinson. I'm happy this evening to hear that PM gave us some good news. I was one who always had a fun in my minister's back every time I attended a constituency meeting, rehousing and Atkinson and Antrizza. So I'm happy this evening I can give him a little break. But my issue is healthcare, directed to the Minister of Health. Honestly, the Kalinago territory at Atkinson, we need a mini hospital. Because sometimes you go to your health center and your district nurse will say, I cannot refer you to the Marigot Hospital, I have to refer you to Wesley, which is much further. Sometimes you do not have a vehicle, the ambulance is not available. Sometimes, if that ambulance is in Roseau, you can have a death on your hand if it's an emergency. For me, I believe we need a mini hospital in the Salybia constituency. Because oftentimes, we go to Wesley. When you reach Wesley, you don't have a ride, you have to stay there until you can maybe get somebody. You have elders, you have children, you have babies taken to that area. I mean, come on. This is a little too much for us in this area. And our ambulances, when Cassibus is done, Marigot has to be called. Or if Marigot is not there, Cassibus have to come. I mean, within that space of time, we can have people dying on our hands. I mean, God forbid. So it would be good that we can get a mini hospital, even though we cannot get a health district as promised before, but a mini hospital would do us good in that area. I mean, I want to commend our nurses. They do their extra best. They try their very best. Sometimes they too have to, leave what they're doing and go with the patients, because sometimes it is just too much and it's overwhelming. Another issue, I want to thank my Minister of Agriculture this evening. I see him trying to answer Ms. Burton. I work with the Division of Agriculture in the Kalinago territory, the East region. So I know what Ms. Burton is speaking about. On another hand, I want to say to her, if you were not approved under the banana and plantain project, you would not have received fertilizer. and the list has been cut. It cannot be from our office. It was done by the World Bank staff. So, I mean, some of the farmers, they know that, but they still pinpoint that the ministers or the officers are not doing what they're supposed to do. I want to say thank you to my minister under the SSLR project, which was done 2 years ago. Cassava farmers and cassava producers received equipments, and all the facilities were equipped under the SSLR UNDP project. Today, we only have one cassava factory, which is operational in the whole constituency, and we have 3 cassava facilities. Only one. If you come to the Kalinago territory, that is the only cassava factory you can go and get a pound of farine or a cassava bread. We have some people who have benefited, and they sit and do nothing and say the government is not doing. So tonight, I want to say thank you to Minister Frederick, because it's through him, through the UNDP project under the SSLR, we got these equipments. And I would like to see more being done with the cassava facilities in our area. If you do not want to use the facility, lease it or get somebody else to run the facility. Minister Grant, I have a concern in the Antrizal area, Antrizal bus stop. The level of water flow in that area is a lot of water. From under the big rock to the Antrizal bus stop. I saw we put some little slipper drains, and when you see it rains, the people living below the road level are flooded most times. Madam Chairman and our council, we have visited, we have tried, we have spoken to some of the road supervisors, but when it rains, it is disaster. So we need deep drains so the water can flow properly, because them little slipper not working. Please do something about it. Another issue I have is we have given greenhouses to certain individuals in the Kalinago space, and my minister can respond to that. We have one sitting at the back of his office, which is unoccupied. Minister, I think we need to reallocate that greenhouse, because if we say in farm to table, give it to somebody else who needs the greenhouse and who can make use of that greenhouse. Because too many times, I think we blame and we say, oh, we're not getting this, we're not getting that. I've been working with the Ministry of Agriculture for the past 5 years, and I can say tonight that a lot of our farmers here have benefited under our project. UNDP, before they get the barrow and if down to the boots, they sell it. And then they come here tonight and they will tell you, we want fertilizer, we want a fork, we want a spade. I will defend when it is right, and I will say when it is wrong. So tonight, I want to say to my Minister of Agriculture, Kalinago, some of them are well taken care of, but some of them is greed. Some of them is greed. And I say it with no remorse, because I work in the office, I know. They come, they sign my documents, and by the time they reach where they go in, the barrow is for sale. So, thank you, PM. As I said before, the people of Atkinson, we await the good times and the good news, because we have been taken for the black sheep of the constituency for too long. With that, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a hand to the back. Do we have a mic? Oh, okay. No, we'll come to... We have 2 mics, so we'll take the lady who is already standing, and then we will come to you.
Good evening to everybody, our Prime Minister and everybody else. Welcome to the Kalinago territory. I will not leave here tonight, and I decided not to leave tonight without making my points. However, I have 3 points. Number 1, I represent my elders on the Dominica Council on Aging Board. I am a board member. And I am also a caregiver on the NEP for more than 10 years. And see, I am standing here I'm listening to people asking for raise for beautification. They did get it already. So what about the caregivers who have the bedriddens and we work without gloves? We have to provide our own gloves, everything that we have to work with. So we too want raise, no raise OC. So it doesn't just go for one set, it is for everybody. Number two is that we have a large amount of elderly senior citizens in the Kalinago territory. Now, we have to take some of them to the health center. Where is the money coming from to pay for the hires? Now, when they have a sore or something, I, as the caregiver, because I am trained in caring for the wounds, it is left to me to do. Now, I have to take them to the health center every day to get rest. That be, how is that right? They doesn't have roads to go to their homes, not even a proper home that they have to live in. Most of them are forgotten, and then they're only left in the care of their caregivers. Oh, so then, I am saying having our senior citizens go into the Salybia Health Center or Maho River Health Center or Atkinson Health Center on the little higher 11 that already flattening already, doesn't have a vehicle. They cannot afford to pay for a vehicle to take them back and forth to their homes. My question is, what is being done to assist these senior citizens? I'll go down to my grave talking on their behalf. I am their voice. What I have decided, and I've said to myself, Teresa Frederick, is that can I have a vehicle not made available for these people to take them to the health center and back to their little homes? They have to go to the health center nearly every day just to check their blood pressure, just to take their sugar. By the time they reach at the health center, pressure up already, and these people are hungry. So we need to put something in place for them. Mr. PM, my good friend, I think you can help me out on that situation. And then the other one is, if you cannot give us a vehicle for the Salybia police station, but at least we should have one closer to us. The policemen, they are there to my house, speak on their behalf, because they are the ones that I call. When I have my dementia clients, I cannot find that I have to go to the bushes to get them. I called on them. They are my security. And then I will stand to defend the Salybia police, because we need a vehicle. We are desperately in need of it, especially during the time of disaster. And leaving one policeman at the Salybia police station, that has been going on for a while. It's been going on for a while. They have to close the Salybia police station to go. Then as soon as they go on their duty to arrest somebody or do something else, here comes another one. I am not going to be no security not getting paid to do it, to watch police station and say, cast an eye for me. No, we have to get serious. That is serious business. My life too can be at risk. Whoever can help, help. Tutponika crash. It's not the policeman alone that crashing vehicles. Everybody crashing. So, thank you very much. Raise our pay, levy pay, and the police now. Merci.
Okay, thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Skerritt, and all of the government officials who are here this evening. And Madam Chair, thank you for hosting this really very important meeting in the Kalinago territory. I personally, sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be able to meet with our government, meet with the officials, and to raise our concerns. Prime Minister Skerritt, I think you'll be happy to know that we have started reconstruction at Iwasi, and we look forward again to hosting you one of these days when we are finished with the current construction that we are undertaking right now. So we're reinvesting in the territory. I know that you took major political blows when you actually helped financially with the first development at Iwasi. There are people here in this very room and elsewhere in the territory who essentially said, what the hell are you doing giving Mr. Hill all that money? Every local election and every national election, this is an issue that is discussed by everybody, and you take a lot of blows for it. I got a lot of respect for you for even bringing it up here tonight. I have three major issues that I would like to address. And the first one is the bus stop, which the chief spoke about. I have been involved in this issue for over 6 years, from the inception of this road construction project with the World Bank and the consultations which you mentioned rightfully. I have been involved in it. During those consultations, we specifically asked the World Bank to design bus stops that were traditional and culturally sensitive to this community. I was part of that conversation with the World Bank in those consultations. So it is to my great surprise that I am driving down the road at Crayfish River and I run into Mr. Kali, or Kali, who is the contractor, and essentially asked him what's going on with the bus stop at Point. To which he responded, there is no bus stop scheduled to be built at Point. Now, the Point bus stop is maybe the oldest bus stop in the territory. That is next to the, I've known that bus stop there for as long as I've been, since that road has been built. So I was really surprised when Mr. Kali said to me, there is no bus stop scheduled for that location. I immediately called my parliamentary representative and informed him of what Mr. Kali had just said to me, to which he also was surprised that at one of the major intersections where a bus stop has always been, that the public works and the road developers and whoever decided that there was no bus stop going there. But they have been building bus stops in other areas where there were never bus stops before. At that point in time, I got involved in the whole discussion of bus stops. I have spoken to both of the contractors who are building the bus stops. I have showed them a model of what a bus stop in the Kalinago architectural scheme should look like. They have gone, they have visited it. They have assured me that there is no difficulty in building that bus stop. It really should not cost anything more than the bus stops they are already building. It probably costs less. The fact is that I find it really surprising, Mr. Prime Minister, that with the intervention of my parliamentary representative, who I called about it, the chief who has intervened, there are other community members who have intervened, very prominent. The fact that this is an intersection to the most prominent historic tourism site in the territory, that we would not build a bus stop there in that type of architecture. So I want to urge you urgently, sincerely, I am begging you, to please intervene on this behalf, because we need a bus stop at that intersection. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there are people in this kind of territory who are homeless. There are people who need to be helped with their investments. This school is let us set the priorities. Let us set the priorities. We could have said, let us not build a resource center and right around 2.5 million on the street. Let us redesign it. And so, I mean, as important as this bus stop might be in the location that you're talking about, we have to be careful that we don't make this road about the bus stop. I feel in favor of taking it tonight. But the bus stop.
Mr. Prime Minister, I totally respect everything you have said, and I am thankful for the work on the road. It is an enormous investment in this community. I am eternally thankful for that. I think the Kalinago people are eternally thankful for that. But small things sometimes have significant impacts, and I am simply bringing it up. Yes. Okay.
We've had to go to Parliament, my brothers and sisters, to increase the cost of it by $103 billion, to move from 38 corridors to 92.
Mr. Barnes, I agree that. I am not arguing against that at all.
I'm not saying that to discount the issue of the European cluster, but I don't think that we need to rehash this thing as if, well, without the cluster, it's better with the road.
Well, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I am not saying that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Secondly, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to support my classmate, Mr. Auguste, who raised the issue of the secondary school. I just attended a meeting in the territory recently, and one of the things that I was totally shocked is that there is a huge divide between the children from Sineku and the children in the Salybia school. There is this animosity, this competition, that they're not being treated fairly, and this is something that has happened before. And the Minister of Education, I think, is aware of it. So yes, there's bullying right here going on between the Sineku children and children from the Salybia area. So I think when we raise these issues, maybe we have to look at solutions also. So I want to say that I support the conversation on the secondary school for the Kalinago territory. It will not cost the government any additional money in terms of infrastructure because, as you rightly said, the government is making a significant investment in a school for Sineku, a major investment. The question is, what is the most appropriate use of that facility? Can we put it to better use than just a primary school? I will give you some statistics which I researched. There's 110 children in the Sineku school, and there are 6 teachers, 8 teachers, I think. There are 47 students in the Salybia school, and 6 teachers. Plus, they have NEP assistants, monitors, and plus the principals and mentors. So, if we added up the students, it's 157 students. We have 14 teachers. That's 12 students per teacher, plus the NEP mentors and plus the principals. So what we have been doing is separating the resources that we have for the children. So once we have built this beautiful school in Sineku, the children in Sineku will now have access to technology, to all of the other things. The students from here, for the children in Atkinson and the children in Concord, will not have access to those. I think we have to bring our students together and let all of them have access to all of the educational resources that are available in the territory. I think that would be fair and equitable for all of the children who live here. In addition, this separation of our schools is causing a major problem in the Kalinago territory. Students are growing up in Sineku and don't know that they have family in Crayfish River. All of the Valmons originate from Crayfish River. The children no longer know that their families exist and that they have relationships with them and have, So I think, Mr. Prime Minister, I heard you say that you're willing to engage in the discussion, and I'm looking forward to that discussion. Thirdly, and I am going to close, I realize you're telling me to shut up, so I'm going to close. And this is coming from my heart. Mr. Prime Minister, you addressed the issue of diseases, this communicable, non-communicable diseases in the community. I want to address the issue of alcoholism in the Kalinago territory. This morning, when I left my house, I needed somebody to carry some blocks for me. I drove up the road. The first 3 young men that I approached to ask them to come and carry some blocks for me, they were all drunk at 8 o'clock in the morning. We have an existential disease that is threatening this population, and it is called alcoholism. Unless we as a community get together and do something about it, we are losing an entire generation of young men and young women too. It is time for the council, the chief, the power to ban this poison that is coming into the territory. This thing that we call in wabi or whatever, it is poisoning our children, it is poisoning our men and our women. The shopkeepers need to stop selling this wabi and this poison to our people. We are destroying our community, and alcoholism is doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I realize we are over time because we are getting very restless. So I would like to give the Prime Minister an opportunity to respond and to close up. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. We have taken note of the comments and suggestions that have been made. Clearly, there are some things that among yourselves in the community that you need to discuss and work on. But where the government has its responsibility, we certainly will follow up on those. I want to thank everybody for coming. I believe it was a very constructive engagement. I think in some time there will need to be a follow-up and a follow-through. But we'll continue the engagement and have the dialogue and the conversations that we suggested on some of the points and so forth. But I would really like to participate, so there's a lot more I could say, but time is not on my side tonight. Some things that we have to be cautious against and careful about what we're promoting. Very careful. Because at the end of the day, our children from the Kalinago territory will have to go to the state college. They'll have to go to university. And we have to promote integration. Obviously, each of us having our own identity, but we have to promote integration. I studied in the South of America, the southern part of America, where racism is rampant. Mississippi, the old South. You have to integrate as the world. The world is a place where, we all are different, but we have to assimilate. We have to work together. And separating ourselves is not going to be the answer to our challenges. This is a globalized world. There are no boundaries in the world anymore. You understand? And so that's my caution to us. We have to come up with some very concrete positions as to why we're promoting those things, And if somebody gives us a bowl of rice, we cannot say it's missing one grain. And not pay attention to the bowl of rice before us. And I, for one, am a politician. And I will not allow anybody to water down what the government is doing in Dominica by bringing up vexatious issues and seeking to set aside the investments. There's a deliberate attempt by some to do that. That we lose sight of the big picture, and we're talking about little things that can be worked out as we go along. But we must not speak as if we do not appreciate, or we're trying to throw cold water on these investments by talking about some things that can be negotiated as we go along. It's not for me that lesson is, it's for our children. Because we as parents are never able to provide our children all what they need. And back in the days, you get a half a pencil, you're lucky. You should take a pencil and tie it with a rope and tie it to your belt holder. You cut exercise book in two. You understand what I'm saying? So we must not believe that life is what it is, has always been. And we must be careful as individuals that we do not give thanks to what we have and what we're receiving, and talk about things that we have yet to receive. And as you know, I can stand and defend this government anywhere politically, and I will defend the attempts at trying to throw political cold water. If you want to advance your politics, then talk about what you're doing, what you're doing and what you intend to do, and not try to throw cold water on what this government has been doing. Because there's no government before I became the Prime Minister of this country that has paid attention to the Carnago people like I've done. None. That's the reality. We were forgotten people. We couldn't walk Rosa streets without being chastised and maligned. We were abandoned. And so we must be careful that we ourselves don't recognize those things, so that we can build upon what we have done and what we're doing, and allow people with the motivations to come and to subtly and indirectly throw cold water on what is happening. And so I urge all of us here to guard against this. But I will stand in the gap and ensure that we can speak about these things. It's been a wonderful night. I look forward to the continued conversation. I want to thank the Power Rep for hosting us. We'll continue to work with him to deliver to the people in this constituency. And this government is completely committed, both at the government level and the political level. And of course, I look forward to visiting Atkinson on Wednesday next week, God's willing, to speak on Atkinson specific issues. I see you next Wednesday. Let us go home safely. God bless our country. God bless your families. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much to the Honorable Prime Minister and to all of you who have attended this evening. We do have some light refreshments, I believe, on the outside. So please note, and our next town hall meeting will be in Corley Hall. You will be